Ladies and gentlemen, I just sat through another Netflix film. Um, because I'm trying to go and find decent anything. So I just got done watching or listening to, I should say, because about 10 minutes into this movie, I just quit watching it. It boring as all fuck. Okay, the Cloverfield Paradox. This is the movie in question. This movie doesn't just make Netflix movies look bad, it makes its own fucking franchise look bad. There's some okay sci-fi sequences that happen, like when the guy loses his arm, that's actually pretty entertaining. The way the liquid metal came back to bite them in the ass, that was funny. Well, didn't take it serious, but it was funny. I'll give them that. Um, and the big kicker is the audacity to put this in the Cloverfield universe. Now, I myself have talked about before, this was a while back, maybe a year or so ago, on how bad these movies were, on how bad these movies represented this franchise, whether it be Cloverfield, whether it be Skyline. To me, it didn't matter because I always really enjoyed the original two movies. And it seemed like the sequels for Cloverfield and the one sequel for Skyline did nothing but obliterate any hopes of anything decent to come. Now, I don't know if this movie is bad because Netflix optioned it or Hollywood had no faith in it to put it in theaters. I don't know which one's worse because I don't know which scenario holds more weight. But this movie didn't do good for Netflix on any front. This movie is not something people are out blowing through to try to find, to get, and put in a collection. Neither is 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was another movie that just kind of came out of nowhere. Okay. Overlords was supposed to be the fourth one, and that didn't turn out to be that way. I remember watching the preview thinking, how the fuck is this tie into anything? And then people were telling me it had nothing to do with Cloverfield. So we're stuck with Cloverfield being this ridiculous piece of shit that started out with so much potential to be a good movie, and then it just kind of shitted on itself. 10 Cloverfield Lane had the same problems as the Cloverfield Paradox. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. 10 Cloverfield Lane was about a damn fallout shelter and 3 people in that bitch. But the moment you want to see more of 10 Cloverfield Lane is the moment it ends. Okay? Because when 10 Cloverfield Lane ended, it ended with a view of what's possible and what's possibly going on outside this bunker, which is more interesting than the shit that was going on in the bunker. Now, the Cloverfield Paradox again picks up on the ending being the best part. Okay? Where they're coming back to Earth, her, I guess, husband, estranged husband, something happened to something for these two to be on the outs. I don't know. It's kind of swept under and not really paid too much attention to. But you have 2 survivors of apparently going between a dimension to open up the multiverse theory with this movie, which probably could have been handled better and probably should have been its own thing within of its own universe. Probably should have been explained better in like the second one versus trying to explain it now. You don't really feel attached to any of the characters. There's no real emotional. It feels like it's supposed to be more emotional with the lady who is estranged from her husband and kid, or who is feeling like she's estranged. I don't know what the whole story is there, but she does make a heartfelt message. They do manage to make it back to their particular universe, and by the time it ends and they're flying back to Earth, this guy is yelling on the phone, tell them not to come back. And you see their spaceship ball thing dropping to Earth, and you see the monster that was in Cloverfield 1, the thing everybody's been wanting to see. You see the head of this thing through the clouds. Like, it raises up through the clouds and lets out a tremendous yell. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. That's where the movie probably should have started, because honestly, this movie's boring as all hell. I'm sorry, it's just boring. It's 100. No, it's not 100. It's an hour and 142 minutes long, minus including the fucking credits. Without the credits, it's 136 minutes or not 136. Sorry, an hour 36 and 28 seconds. That's without watching the credits. This movie is boring from beginning to end. J.J. Abrams, please put the cocaine away. Stop doing the heroin, whatever it is you on right now. Please stop, because Cloverfield it's a bad look. It's a bad look. And it started out with so much potential. So, another review of a movie, the Cloverfield Paradox. Yes, there's potential there. Unfortunately, the potential just was never realized. I understand certain people love this movie, and to you guys, I'm all for you. Congratulations for liking the movie. It did have good special effects, and there were parts that stood out among other things, but they were just little flashes. Just little, oh, it's been boring for 10 minutes. Something funny. Oh, it's been boring for 20 minutes. Here's an argument to kind of get you intrigued. It's been boring for 30 minutes. Here's a joke. That's kind of how it's handled. And the movie in of itself is a joke and does nothing for the Cloverfield universe. JJ, please make a Cloverfield movie that actually is something to enjoy from beginning to end, because you're 2 for 3 right now, meaning 2 are shit and 1 is good. So please take that into consideration. Netflix, you need some type of system in play. This is, I believe, the 5th movie I'm reviewing, and already you are 5 for 5. You are 5 shitstorms and not 1 decent, okay? And these are recent movies. These movies came out in the past 2 years. I think Cloverfield came out in 2018. No, 2017, somewhere in there. 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there. So these movies are not that old. So please get some kind of filter in there. Have somebody read the script. Have a small improv group act out how the first scene might look. And if it looks good, have them act out the second to see if it's still good. Because this has got to stop. But we're going to cover that in another video, because now it's time for me to go find another movie to try to sift through to see if I can find one decent. And I think I'm going to go for Apostle, because that's a 2-hour, 10-minute movie. It looks good. It looks like a horror movie. But, you know, appearances are not everything. And especially when you're talking about Netflix movies, the best I can hope for is a D-horror movie that would have been straight to DVD that you probably would have never heard about unless you were following like horror movie things on Facebook. That's the best I can hope for here. But we'll find out in the next one.